let's talk about factoring. Now, there are a ton of different methods out there for factoring quadratics. You probably learned ones last year. The ones I teach you may not be ones that you learned last year. So here's my advice to you. I'm going to teach you two methods for factoring. One that's an easier one that we're talking about for 2.2a, and one that's a harder one that is used in different situations for 2.2b. If these methods of factoring work for your head, go for it. Take them, run with them, use them. But if the methods you learned last year make more sense to you and work better, use those. I'm really not picky about how you factor, just that however you factor, it makes most sense to you. So today's factoring method is a shortcut that I'm going to teach you, but word of warning, this shortcut only works if there are no numbers in front of your x squared. Now, we know that technically there's a secret 1 in front of that x squared, but we never write the ones. So this only works when that number is a secret 1 or no numbers. Now, if you have that situation, then you can use this super awesome shortcut. And this is how it works. I'm going to take step 1, actually, before we even get started, step 1 is always check for GCF. Always, always, always check for your GCF first. So I'm going to look at this. Is there anything that all three of those have in common? Nope, there's not. So we're good to keep going. Step 2, list the factors for the constant. So little review of vocabulary. The constant is the number without a letter. So the number that doesn't have a letter is your constant term. So I'm going to take that constant 4, and I'm going to list the factors for that 4. Meaning I'm going to list the pairs of numbers that multiply to 4. So I've got 2 and 2 multiply to 4, and 1 comma 4 multiplies to 4. Now I've actually got 2 more in here. -2 and -2 multiply to a positive 4, and -1 and -4 multiply to a positive 4. So those are all the possibilities of numbers that multiply to my constant term. Check. Step 3, find the pair of numbers that add to your middle coefficient. So my middle coefficient is this -5. Remember, coefficient is the number in front of your letter. So that middle coefficient is -5. And I'm going to look down my list and find the pair of numbers that will add to -5. Well, right there. -1 plus a -4. If I add those together, it gets me to my -5. So I found my pair. Step 4, and here's the awesome part of this shortcut, is now we just need to write your answer. So here's the cool part of this shortcut, is I can now factor this out to 2 parentheses worth. The first one is going to be x minus 1. And the second one will be x minus 4. And that's my answer. Right there. I'm done. Pretty fast shortcut. I just take those numbers and I write them in and I'm finished. Now remember, that shortcut only works if there are no numbers in front, or it's that secret 1. Now, if you're doubtful if that is actually the answer, you can do a check step. If I do what I did yesterday, or last lesson I should say, and distribute this in, I get x times x plus x times negative 4. And then I do the other one, plus negative 1 times x plus negative 1 times negative 4. So I distributed that all out. Multiply it together, I get x squared minus 4x minus 1x, or just x, I don't need to write the 1 in front, plus 4. Combine my like terms right there, and I get x squared minus 5x plus 4. And ta-da! When I multiply those together, I get what I started with. So that's a check step for you. You can always multiply your answer and see if you get what you started with, and then you're good. Okay, now let's look at this second problem. Now I'm actually going to change this second problem on you a little bit. I'm going to change it to, let's do 2n squared minus 4n minus 30. Is that what I want? Yeah, that's what I want. Now, here's why. A lot of students would look at this and say, oh, hey, I can't use that shortcut I just used in the last one. But you skipped the first step. Remember, the first step is always check for a GCF. Is there anything that all of these have in common that I can take out? Well, yeah, they all have a 2 in common. So I'm going to take out a 2, meaning divide all of them by 2. And now I'm left with n squared minus 2n minus 15. And now there's no number in front of my n, which means I can use my shortcut. So I want you guys to try this one. Take your constant term, that one at the end, and list all the factors. So my constant term for this one is my negative 15. List all the factors, and then find which ones get you to a negative 2, and write out your final answer. Pause the video, try it on your own. Ready, set, go. Coming back, so we list the factors of negative 15. So 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Negative 3 times a positive 5 is negative 15. And then I have 1 and negative 15 and negative 1 and positive 15. That's all my factors. Find the ones that get me to my middle coefficient, so 3 and negative 5, and then I write those in my parentheses. Now, if you stopped here, this is actually wrong. Don't forget that you need to carry down your GCF from the beginning, and then that's your final answer. So, there you go on that. Your homework, if you turn to this page, is questions 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll see you for the next factoring problem.